I feel like at most in certain spaces at PLU, I feel like I belong. I feel like I do.
When you're a first year student coming in and you don't fit the typical college kind of look, the look and the stats, then you feel like an outsider no matter what.
I definitely had some times where I felt like I was very alone, but I also overwhelmingly felt a sense of belonging, and that's what kept me here.
When I came to PLU, I felt very supported. I felt a sense of belonging here from day one.
I'm still trying to figure out if I belong at PLU.
At PLU, there are times where I feel like I belong and times where I don't.
You know, being someone perceived as white at a predominantly white institution, it's pretty easy, I think, sometimes to fit in or to feel like you see yourself represented in the community.
I just don't feel like I was all that understood just walking around campus. I was getting a lot of looks, and I felt the looks.
I don't feel like I have a sense of belonging at PLU just yet.
I've actually heard people say this, it's Pacific Northwest nice. And I've had lots of people who have said this, which is everyone is so nice. And they're like, let's hang out. And then when you actually say, okay, when do you want to hang out? They're too busy. This is how you make somebody feel welcome, but you don't ever let them belong.
I just even think of just like opening the doors and welcoming people, and like that's an active process maybe, but that's like a one and done process. I think a sense of belonging is a constant active process.
If all you ever say is hi to someone and never engage beyond that, that's where that sense of belonging or friendliness can start to feel superficial.
Past the door opening and past the smiles into engaging with you and wanting to know you.
It's not just, hi, how are you? Thanks for coming. We're really happy you're here. But it's, hi, how are you? Thanks for coming. What made you come here? What are your interests? What do you enjoy doing? Would you like to get a cup of coffee? This radical hospitality of really, really connecting with people individually, really allowing people to define their own identities and who they want to be rather than assuming them.
When I feel like I belong here, then it's easier for me to feel like I belong elsewhere.
It's really hard to change a community because it's just like, how do you change the world?
Institutions are not set up in a way to value belonging. These things are set in a system that's very old, it's very white, it's very male-dominated. We need to recognize that there's bias within that, and that's where I think things could change.
I think a lot of students of color flock to staff of color because they see their salient identities in us. In addition to gaining staff and faculty of color, we also need to figure out ways to retain staff and faculty of color as well too.
We're looking at this deficit that we have to this standard, and it's hard to reach it. So ultimately, I think it's flipping that around, looking at the abundance that we have, and then building from there.
Every single community member has the ability to impact the sense of belonging of every single other community member.
I think belonging happens when people feel heard and listened to.
We talk about how we can change the students, so we don't have enough active conversations and engage as many students in how we can change the system.
Everybody obviously wants to belong in a space, and what each person needs might look a little different. Even if two people share a lot of the similar identities, I think first and foremost, belonging means maybe that you feel safe in a space or that you feel like you matter in a space, but what that looks like for each person looks different. To truly feel like I belong or that students belong, it's not just welcome to PLU, but it's like welcome, we have carved a space for you.
And so it takes those extra steps and it takes that extra energy, at least it has for me, to kind of break past just welcome into like finding my own space and saying that I am a Lute.